What's going on, everybody? My name is Tyler, and if you saw my last video, I ranked the top 10 first basemen in all of baseball. Today, we're doing the top 10 second basemen. If you haven't watched my previous top 10 videos in the past, I don't solely look at the player stats from the most recent season, although that is a major component into how I put these rankings together. I also look at where are these players in their respective careers, and if I were starting a team, would I want these guys starting for me? Also, my position listing is going based off where each player played the majority of their games in the 2019 season, as I know some guys play multiple positions. With all that out of the way, let's get it started. At number 10, we have Hanser Alberto. I will say the second baseman position was rather thin, so filling out the 9th and 10th spots was challenging given my criteria. But I have never heard of Alberto prior to researching this video, mainly because he plays for the Orioles, and I tried not to watch the Orioles a whole lot last season unless they played my team, the Yankees. But after looking at the numbers, Alberto seemed to be the most deserving of the number 10 spot. Looking at the numbers, Alberto definitely had a decent year, playing in only 89 games in his first 3 seasons with the Rangers. Alberto appeared in 139 games last season for Baltimore, and he had the second best batting average among second basemen, with hitting .305. He also has the 7th most hits with 160, 12 home runs, 51 RBIs, and was number 10 in wins above replacement at 3.1. Alberto, at 27, has finally seemed to find a home, and now it's just a matter of whether or not he can grow upon his 2019 campaign in 2020. At number 9, we have Starlin Castro. There was a lot of hype surrounding Castro when he entered the league back in 2010 with the Chicago Cubs. He ended up winning a World Series with the Cubs back in 2016, and this past season, despite playing for a Miami Marlins team that stinks, Castro played pretty well. He hit .270, had 172 hits, 5th most amongst qualified second basemen, 22 home runs, which was a career high, and drove in 86 runs batted in. Castro, he's never been really known for being a power guy in his career, so it's actually rather surprising that he hit 22 home runs this past season. And like I said, he was ranking 5th among qualified second basemen in hits because he's more so known for putting a bat on the ball. The issue with Castro is now, although he just turned 30, he's a little bit expendable, as he's now played for his 3rd team in the last 4 seasons, signing with the Nationals this past offseason. If this was 5 or 6 years ago, I would probably have Castro much higher, but now that Castro, he wouldn't be my first choice. If I had to start a team, he'd still be a solid player who, if I ended up with him on my team, I wouldn't be too upset, but he definitely has a few more solid years behind him than he does ahead of him, at least in my opinion. I hope, though, that he does play solidly for the Nationals and wherever he ends up going forward, because, frankly, I've liked watching him play during his career. But as of right now, I have Starlin Castro at number 9 on my list. At number 8, we have Jonathan Schoop. Schoop is another one of those guys who have been around for a while and have played solidly during their careers. His last 2 seasons can be considered disappointments given what he did in 2017, but they've still been solid. Last year, for Minnesota, Schoop played in 121 games, hit .256, had 111 total hits, which included 23 home runs, and had 59 runs batted in. Where Schoop really lacks is in the field, as amongst qualified second basemen, he committed the 2nd most errors with 14 last season. Schoop also had the lowest fielding percentage among qualified second basemen with a 96.8%. Schoop will suit up for Detroit next season. If he wants to continue to have a stake in this league, however, he will need to continue upon what he did in 2017 or improve immensely in the field, one of the two. His 2017 season at the plate was really, really good. It was his best year by far. And if he wants to continue to have success and have a home on a team, he can either play at that level or improve upon his fielding, because let's be real, his fielding has not been great in recent years, as evidenced by the 14 errors. But as of right now, I have Jonathan Schoop at number 8 on my list of top 10 second basemen. At number 7, we have Kolten Wong. Wong played his 7th year in 2019, and let's be real, he is not a household name by any means, but he is a really solid player at the second baseman position. Last season, Wong hit .285, had 139 hits, 11 home runs, and 59 RBIs. He also had a wins above replacement of 4.7. All in all, Wong ranked 6th, 10th, 18th, 17th, and 4th in those stats among qualified second basemen. Wong is a really good defender as well, which is why he makes this list. He had the 7th best fielding percentage, was tied for 7th in fewest errors, 3rd in putouts, 2nd in assists, and 4th in defensive wins above replacement. At least in my opinion, Wong will never be a top 3, top 4, probably not even top 5 second baseman during his career, but he can make a career for himself doing what he does, and he clearly has shown that, and can be a consistent top 10 second baseman given for what he does. And I think Wong has a bright future ahead of him if he continues to put out the way he has in recent years. So Kolten Wong, number 7 on my list. Number 6, we had Jonathan Villar. Villar has had a solid career thus far through 7 years, similar to a lot of other guys on the list that sound like a broken record, but 2019 was arguably his best year by far. Last season, Villar hit .274 with a total of 176 hits, 24 home runs, 73 RBIs, and had a wins above replacement of 4.0, all of which were the most of his career outside of his batting average, which was his third best. What stood out for Villar this season was that he played in all 162 games. Amongst qualified second basemen, Villar ranks 10th, 4th, tied for 8th, 13th, and 6th in the statistical categories mentioned a little earlier, which earned him a 1-year, $8.2 million contract with the Marlins this past offseason. The reason as to why Villar is where he is because although he had a really good year last year, he now needs to back it up with a year once the 2020 season begins. It can't just be a 1-year fluke for me. I think Villar can continue to put up this number, and he'll definitely be given the opportunity in Miami, given that the team is rebuilding and reloading. But I want to see if he can do it again. And if he does it again, maybe next year, if I do this list again, he comes in at number 5 or number 4, who knows. But as of right now, I have Jonathan Villar at number 6. At number 5, we have Whit Merrifield. Merrifield has emerged into a bright young star in Major League Baseball after his first 4 seasons. Year 1 started slow for Merrifield, only playing in 81 games, but in his last 3 years, he has played in 145 or more games each year, playing in all 162 games last season, leading all of Major League Baseball in hits last year with 206, and was 17th amongst qualified hitters in batting average, hitting .302, which amongst second basemen, by the way, was second best. The reason why I have Merrifield so low on this list, though, is because he is 31. So if I were starting a team, I would love to have Merrifield, yes, but I would also like someone who's a little bit younger to build my team around for many more years to come. It's one of those weird things. Merrifield, he's now going to be entering his 5th year in 2020, but he's 31. So it's one of those give and take type things. You really don't know how much, when will that peak come? That peak could be coming right now for him, and he could be on the downturn in 2020, 2021. So I love him as a talent, but I want to see how many more years does he have left in the tank at 31. I do think he has some bright years ahead of him, but I don't really know. So as of right now, I have Whit Merrifield at number 5. At number 4, we have Max Muncy. Muncy is a utility guy, someone who can move around the field, but primarily played second base for the Dodgers last season. At 29, entering his 5th season, Muncy is really starting to come to his own, and since joining the Dodgers in 2018, he's been really good, hitting .257, 70 total home runs, 117 RBIs, and 226 hits. Just last season among qualified second basemen, Muncy ranked 2nd in WAR, tied for 2nd in home runs, 1st in RBIs, 14th in hits, and 15th in batting average. He's not relied upon to be the best hitter on what was a loaded Dodgers team in 2019, and definitely won't be with the addition of Mookie Betts in 2020. But he is not someone who can be overlooked, and it's not someone in the lineup who would be viewed as an easy out. He can turn that game on its head with his power. And the reason why Muncy is not higher is because the 4 guys ahead of him are either younger, 3 guys ahead of him, wow, we're flying by, are either younger or have just straight up produced more in their respective times in the league. Muncy does have a bright future ahead of him, and I am excited to see what he does. Hopefully he gets given the chances next year with the Dodgers once the season starts, because given how loaded that Dodgers team is, you really don't know where he's going to play. Will he play second? Will he play first? Will he play third or the outfield? Who knows? We'll see. And given that there's no DH spot for Muncy and his power, it's going to be interesting to see as of right now. But as of right now, I have Muncy at number 4 on my list. At number 3 is probably the hardest guy for me to rank, Ozzie Altuve. It was tough for me to determine where to place Altuve on this list, because as you probably know, the Astros were caught in a cheating scandal for during the 2017 season. During their World Series winning season, that year Altuve won the MVP. At least for me, I see Altuve's numbers, and I'm not sure how much of a boost of his stats received from having the knowledge of knowing what was coming from the pitches he was seeing. That being said, Altuve still is a great player, and he has put up elite numbers during his career, and 2019 was no different. Last season, Altuve hit .298 for 149 hits, a career-high 31 home runs, and had 74 RBIs in only 24 games, his fewest since his rookie season. Amongst qualified second basemen, Altuve ranked 4th, 9th, 5th, and tied for 11th in those categories. These are not the numbers that Altuve put up in his MVP winning season, like I mentioned, or even during a 4-year stretch from 2014 to 2017, where he had over 200 hits each year and hit better than .310. It will be interesting to see how Altuve plays once the 2020 season begins, given all the eyes will be on him to perform at a level to shut up the naysayers and for the Astros cheating and prove that he is as good as advertised, because he claims that he did not cheat and did not partake in any of this. So it'll be interesting to see, will he be able to silence all the noise and put to bed these notions that he was responsible for cheating or involved in this cheating. So as of right now, I have Jose Altuve at number 3 on my list. At number 2, we have DJ LeMahieu. As you probably remember if you watched my top 10 first basemen video, if you haven't, I suggest go watching it. I said, although he's listed as a first baseman, LeMahieu played the majority of his games last season at second base for an injury-riddled Yankees squad, and so he finds himself on this list. There were a lot of questions about whether or not LeMahieu would perform in New York up to the level he did in Colorado, as Coors Field in Denver is a very friendly hitter's park. Safe to say LeMahieu exceeded all expectations. Last season, he hit .327, had career highs in home runs, RBIs, hits, and WAR with 197 hits, 26 home runs, 102 RBIs, and 6.0 wins above replacement. If LeMahieu was listed as a second baseman, those numbers would rank him second, 8th, 1st, and 2nd in those categories amongst qualified second basemen. And LeMahieu also finished 4th in the AL MVP voting for 2019 and was by far the most valuable player on the Yankees rosters. You could make the argument for Gleyber Torres, but I'm going to be in the camp of LeMahieu. It will be interesting to see now, once again, if LeMahieu can produce similar to how he did in 2019 in 2020, given that hopefully the Yankees are getting more healthy, their guys are coming back. Where will he play? Because Gleyber Torres will probably be shifting back to second base. We'll probably see a lot more LeMahieu at first base, but as of right now, LeMahieu played a majority of his games at second base last year, so he's on this list, and he's number 2 on my ranking. At number 1, we have Ozzie Albies. Although overshadowed on his own team by Ronald Acuna Jr., Albies has become arguably the best second baseman in all of baseball. It was hard for me. It was a tough decision. Ultimately, what led me to put Albies ahead of both LeMahieu and Altuve, because Albies is younger, and he is performing at a very, very high level. And if I were starting a team, he would be an anchor piece I would want to build around for my team. In his first 3 seasons, Albies has improved steadily every single year. Last season, having career highs in batting average, hits, RBIs, and wins above replacement, and tied his career highs in home runs, hitting .295, 189 hits, 86 runs batted in, a 4.8 WAR, and 24 homers. In those 5 categories, Albies ranked at least in the top 8 in all of those amongst qualified second basemen, and after a poor defensive season in 2018, he improved greatly in 2019. Although his defensive wins above replacement went down from 1.2 to 1.0, Albies lowered his total number of errors from 10 to 4 and increased his fielding percentage from 98.5% to 99.4%. Albies has an extremely bright future ahead of him, and it'll be interesting to see, will he have any competition going forward at the second baseman position, because right now Albies is at the top of his game and he's only getting better. I think he's going to be one of those guys who'll be around for 10, 15 years, have a remarkable career, and hopefully he and the Braves can do something with all that talent and win a championship. Because like I mentioned, Freddie Freeman was my number 1 first baseman. Albies number 1 for the second baseman. Let's see where else the other Braves come in. But as of right now, I think I can confidently say Ozzie Albies is the best second baseman in all of baseball. So what do y'all think? Do you agree with my list? Do you have any disagreements? Who did I leave off? Who did I put on that shouldn't be on this list? Leave your comments down below. I would be happy to read them and interact with you. So by all means. And lastly, once again, I hope y'all are staying safe. You and your families are healthy during these crazy times with the coronavirus. We're going to get through this as always. Thank you so much for watching and stay tuned. We'll see you next time.